Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video we are going to look at problem C, monsters, from today's CodeForces Round 850. So according to the problem statement, in a computer game we are fighting against n monsters. Monster number I has AI health points. So we'll be given an array of integers where ith element represents the health of the ith monster. Okay, a monster is alive while it has at least one health point. Okay, and we are given two types of spells. The first type of spell can cause 1 unit damage to any single alive monster of our choice. So we can select any particular alive monster and we can reduce its health by 1, right? And the second type of spell, we can reduce the health of all the alive monsters by 1 unit. And if in that turn, if any one monster dies, which means if the health of any one monster ends up to 0, then we can repeat the second spell again. So we will keep repeating the second spell if any monster dies in a turn. And it is given that spells of type 1 can be used any number of times, but spell of type 2 can only be used once during the entire game. And we need to find the minimum number of type 1 spells which we can use to kill all the monsters. And in the input we'll be given t test cases. In each test case we'll be given n, which is the number of monsters, and in the next line we'll be given an array of n integers representing the health of n monsters. And we need to output the smallest number of times we can cast type 1 spells to kill all the monsters. So this was the problem statement. Now let us see the approach to solve this problem. So we'll be given an array of integers representing the health of n monsters, and we are having two types of spells. In the first type of spell, we can reduce the health of any one monster by 1 unit, and in the second type of spell we can reduce the health of all the alive monsters by 1 unit. We will keep repeating this type 2 spell if any one monster dies. We can use type 1 spell any number of times, but we can use type 2 spell only once in the entire game. Okay, so if we can reduce the health of monsters to this format, then it will become easier. Why? Because now in this we can use our type 2 spell, and then one by one all the alive monsters health will reduce to 0. What I mean to say is, if now I use type 2 spell, then our array will become like this. As the health of this monster is now 0, we can again use type 2 spell. So again using type 2 spell will yield us, and again as another monster is dead, so we will again use type 2 spell, and we will keep doing this. What we are going to do is, we will use our type 1 spell some number of times, and we will try to get this format. Once we reach this format, we can use our type 2 spell, and all the remaining alive monsters will become dead, and we will win the game. So let me take one example. So let's consider this example. Let's say this array represents the health of monsters. So firstly what we are going to do is, we will sort this array. This is what we get after sorting the health of monsters. Now we are going to find the number of type 1 spells it will require to make this array in this format. So we are going to take a variable reduce to, and in the beginning it will be 1. It means that in our sequence the first number that we want is 1. So we are going to start with 1, and let's take another variable net, which will be the number of type 1 spells required to reduce this array in this format. Here we want to reduce this health to 1. So number of type 1 spells required will be 1 minus 1, which gives us 0, and it will remain to 1. Okay, so next we are going to increment this reduce to variable to 2. It means that the next number that we want is 2, and we are going to move to the next health of a monster. So this time again we are having health equals to 1, but we are looking to reduce it to 2, as this health is already less than what we want to make it. So we are not going to make any changes, and it will remain 1 only, and we will move ahead. Again, as this health is also 1, which is less than 2, so it will also remain the same, and we will move to the next health. Next we have is health 4, and we want to reduce it to 2 because it is greater than 2. So number of type 1 spells required will be 4 minus 2. It means that using type 1 spell twice we can reduce this health to 2, and then we will increment our reduce to variable to 3, which means that we want next health to be 3, and we will move ahead. Next health is also 4, but we want to reduce it to 3. Hence number of type 1 spells required will be 4 minus 3, which means using the type 1 spell once we can reduce this health to 3, right? We have used 3 type 1 spells till now. We will increment our reduce to variable, and it will become 4. We will move ahead to the last health, and it is 5. We want to make it equal to 4. So 5 minus 4 gives us 1. As you can see, this sequence is in this format. Now we can use our type 2 spell, and one by one health of all the monsters will reduce to 0. So using type 2 spell now, we will get this, and if we use again on all the alive monsters, then one by one all the remaining alive monsters will reduce to 0. And this is the approach to solve this problem. Now let us see the code. So this is our simple code. For each test case I am inputting the health of n monsters. After that we will be sorting the given array. I have taken net variable, which will be the minimum number of type 1 spells required, and I have taken another variable called reduce to, and in the beginning it will be 1. Now one by one we will iterate through the sorted sequence of monster healths, and if the health of a particular monster is less than our reduce to integer, then we will simply continue without doing anything to that. Otherwise we are calculating how many type 1 spells it will require to reduce this health to this number, as we already discussed, and we are going to add that number to our net variable, which is the total number of type 1 spells, and then we will increment our reduce to variable for the next health. We can simply print net, which is the minimum number of type 1 variables required, and if I run this, so as you can see it got accepted, and this test case is a custom test case and the output is correct. If you submit this, it will surely get accepted. So that's all for this video. I hope the explanation was clear. If you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you.